Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.
What's up, everybody? Another Tuesday night. This is Jus Riffin. I'm one of your hosts, Hefner. I got Cookie Rabinowitz in the building with us. We're powered by Rug Radio. Tonight, we got a special guest. This dude he's the founder of Rift Radio. So we're going to get into it with him. It's Sasan Seyedi. So look forward to having him on the show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. We're going to have an awesome show tonight. Cookie, what's cooking with you, man?
Well, hey, Hef, how are you doing? First off, you doing good? All right.
Long week, keeping busy, but yeah, everything good.
I love your hat. I just want to say, is that the first time you wore it?
Yeah, that's the first time.
I think you've worn that on the show almost as many times as I've worn this shirt. I really got to get a new shirt, I think.
Yeah, very true. I wear the same shirt too. I wear just black shirt. I've been wearing this hat actually since Art Basel, since I got it at Art Basel, and I really respect those guys. I really respect that whole rec crew, plus I'm a rec guy as well. Finally, thank you to FOMO Hour and to Rollbit, yeah, so I've been repping them because I believe in those guys. But yeah, anyway, what's cooking with you, man? Talk to us a little bit about the that Quincy Jones thing, man. Are you prepared to play anything today or not?
I actually am not. And the reason why, you know what? I'll talk to you a little about what I've been doing a lot of recording. And if there's any musicians out there that record at home, which is probably every musician that records at home these days, it's like, so the hardware piece I used to play live with is a sound card, right? It's an audio interface. We call them sound cards back in the day. Nowadays, we call them audio interfaces. True, but yeah. So the show, I use a specific setup so we can use loop back and different things to make the stream work appropriately. Now, the audio interface that I use for my live performance, I have it in my laptop while I'm practicing, and it goes through as an audio interface. And that's how I kind of get the sound out of it while I'm practicing. But I disconnect it all for the show. So one thing I am going to do, though, but I didn't feel like it was super important for me to do it, is I'm going to start running the show through that interface as well. So this way I'll always kind of be queued up. So if there ever is anybody wants to, hear what we're cooking on, I'll just be able to pick it up and do it. But like you, I know we've both been kind of really busy working on different things and also working on the show. And it just, it'll happen when it happens. But in the meantime, I'm not here to shill my music anyway, although I do like to shill my music, but I don't think it's appropriate to do it on the show.
Jus Riffin.
I mean, unless we're featuring you, you could plug away. This is your show just as much as it's mine. And so I wouldn't be afraid and I wouldn't be upset either if you had something that you were promoting. Obviously, this is, half of your show as well. So don't feel that way. Promote your shit and you're not chilling it. You're chilling it. You're just riffing.
Well, I would like to shill something pertaining to the music I'm working on. And it's not really what I'd like to shill is non-music NFTs.
Okay.
I believe I've been through the show and through my own interest with technology, I've been studying a lot of platforms and in the Web3 space, utilizing blockchain technology. We've had quite a few impressive companies on the show talking about what they're building. And I dove into each and every one of them because I'm interested in it. And one thing I realized is I'm not into NFTs for music. I like collectibles, digital collectibles. I think they're cool. And I think there's some music artists who have been very successful with music NFTs. And I think that's awesome because, we all have a different thing that works for us. Not everybody is the same and needs the same recipe to achieve what their purpose is in life and just what they're into, So I've been exploring the blockchain technology, but in a different kind of way. And I've been building something over the past year, and I think I'm gonna think I'm going to unleash it on this show maybe sometime in June. I'm going to show it to people. And the cool thing about it is, and the reason why I'm shilling it is I think it's fun, and it has nothing to do with what Spotify does. I'm not trying to kill Spotify. Let everybody live, right? And I'm not trying to extract exorbitant amounts of money from collectors, even if they want to support, I just look at things differently. I look at music differently. Look at music is in the air, and I think we should be able to breathe it for free, just like with oxygen. But at the same time, it takes a lot of work and effort to create music. So it is imperative to figure out some sort of monetization. But the platforms that I've looked at in the past haven't really suited my personal needs as an artist. And I feel that I need to put this out there. And if it works for me, then maybe some other people might be interested in it. But I think it's very niche. To be honest with you, I think people might think it's neat.
But I think a lot of things are niche. I think a lot of things start nichey and then they build to something else, So I would say, just launch it.
For sure. But at the same time, like I just want to make it clear that I don't have any grandiose, ideas about it. Just as is a simple way that I'd like to distribute my music and incorporate interaction with a quote unquote community or fan base or whatever. I think it's interesting to me, and I'm hoping that other people are interested in it, but I have no idea. They might like check it out and be like, yo, you're a fucking weirdo. So we'll find out,
Let's just think consciously and know that it's gonna be awesome and people are gonna dig it, It's I'll leave it at that. I'll stay on the positive side. That's awesome though. I think that's great that you're doing that. And I think it's obviously a passion that you have, this music, as do I, and you felt the strong conviction to create something that you felt was a void in this industry and something that could help others. What more do you want? I think that's a great thing. Now it's just a matter of getting it to market and letting people judge for themselves and let them, dig it or not, and leave it at that.
For sure. And I don't necessarily look at bringing it to market. I look at it more as like, if there's people that are into the music that I make, they might find this a fun way to engage with it. And if they do, then I'll be like, hey, maybe somebody else could use this too. But if not, it'll just kind of, sit in Cookie's closet. That's all I got. Did you freeze? Are you frozen, Hef? I think, oh, there you are. You're back. I
don't know what happened. We lost the stream for a minute, but we're back. Thank you, everybody. If you saw a little bit of, I guess, the internet stuff that's going on, little bit of
quick,
lag.
I just want to interrupt you. Sorry, I got to interrupt you on this one because it was like I was talking and you were frozen like this, but I didn't know you're frozen, and I thought you were just like looking at me like I thought you were just looking at me like, shut the fuck up.
You were frozen too. That's why I saw. And then I saw on StreamYard both of the screens black with the little things going like this, like circling around, like as it's thinking. And I'm like, oh no, I hope we didn't lose the stream. That would suck. It's like taking all the air out of your, tires.
That's okay.
Okay, but yeah, what I mean by taking it to market is like, launching it. That's it. I know you're anti all that shit. So deal with it, because if you're building something, you're going to launch it. People are going to be there for it. That's 100%. So deal with that.
That's good advice. And, I get my own way a lot of times with my thinking is usually the case. So I always appreciate your input on things, because I think that's the reason why we're a good combo on the show too, because we're very like a lot of things like, you're definitely a very assertive person when it comes to creating things, producing the show, and as well as just, you have to, if you're not telling people about what you're doing, how the fuck do they know, It's like so.
Yeah, it's I'll just go back right for a second, and thank you for the kind words, man. And I feel the same about you as well. But yeah, I always look at it like fuck what people think. Just do it. That's it. There's nothing to it but to do it. And it's like, you know, I don't want to harp on this thing, but if you think about, you know, if LeBron James said that, if you think about Stevie Nicks said that, or I don't know, Trey Anastasio or Quincy Jones, we wouldn't know who they are. We wouldn't be talking about them. We all have the purpose to do something great, whether it's be an awesome musician or whatever the deal is. All the other stuff, which is stuff that shouldn't be really thought about, which is making all the money, right? Because then you get lost in that and just thinking about that, opposed to making the product better. My grandfather said one time, look, if you do it the right way and you do good things by people, then it's all going to come back to you. So don't think about the money, because the money will be there if you're doing it the right way. So just stick to your guns on whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're building. Don't second guess it. You're already this far with it. And then once you launch, you know, don't have any self-doubt. Don't have any self-hatred, you know, just be positive about it. Embrace what's going on and keep it moving and let the train keep rolling, bro. You know?
For sure. Train
right.
keep on rolling.
That's right. Keep on rolling.
I love it.
That's right. Long train running, cuz. So what are we doing? You want to do a cooking with Cookie? You want to do it now, or you want to talk about anything else?
Well, there's a couple of things to talk about that are in the blockchain space and the music space that are kind of interesting. Like I was, you know, we touched on this a little this last week, but it's official. Like basically, artists are giving up, you know, they're giving up the right to on SoundCloud. It's official now. Like once you sign the privacy agreement on SoundCloud, you're free game for your songs to be included in their AI and machine learning, and other people can use it. So there's that. There's also, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about like
let's talk about that for a second. Hold on, because I don't want to jump around too much. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let's stay on the SoundCloud thing. So what's your take on that? Well, first of all, and if you do sign the agreement, do you get paid? Because I don't know. I haven't dug into it. We haven't really discussed it. But what's the monetization aspect of giving up or signing that agreement?
Well, so signing the agreement is just for the ability to use their platform. Like, you know, artists, you know, SoundCloud back in the day was a thing. Like a lot of hip hop and electronic music really got put on. People still do use it for sure. But, you know, the thing that always was peculiar to me about SoundCloud was they charged the creators to put their music up there. Now we understand, we both know, you know, it costs money.
Really? Because I didn't pay. Oh, but maybe for you talking about like a pro version and you get to put up more songs. Okay. Yeah, I only did the free version. I wasn't fucking with the other shit.
Yeah, and so we both know that, you know, web servers and paying to host streaming, like content delivery networks, they're not cheap. We had founders on our show talking about it, several, and you know, SoundCloud has to, you know, keep their machine running, so they have to have some type of monetization aspect. But it just seems to me that it's not the right way to say, okay, here, you got to sign this agreement. We're going to utilize your music by using our platform, and we're going to monetize off you as a subscriber to our platform.
But not pay you?
A better way. Well, no, you get paid off there, and I'm not really sure their pricing system because I don't use them. But right, I mean, I might have a song up there from like 5 years ago or something. But the key thing, my takeaway for this is these platforms, they all have a purpose and they all can be good. But I think from my perspective as an artist, use them for what they're for. Use them for the exposure and the reach. Don't rely on them for monetization, because that's not what they're for. And as long as you go into them with that in mind, I think they're a good tool. Now, as far as the AI machine learning off your material, let's face it, if you're in a room full of people and you sing them a song, there's going to be some people in that song that might sing that song to somebody who sings songs, and that person that sings songs might incorporate that into their song. Is that machine learning? No, it's human learning, but it's the same thing. We're all inspired by what we hear and what we see and what we touch every day. The machines are doing it now. That's the difference. And I'm not opposed to the machines doing that. I just think it makes it that much more. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good. Have you listened to any of the stuff? Have you heard any of what the AI is doing over there at SoundCloud? Have you heard like the differences between the actual music from an artist to opposed to what was used for AI? Have you experienced any of that yet?
I don't believe we're in that stage of the game with them. I think what they're doing is they're just getting their T's crossed and their I's dotted. Like, hey, if your stuff's on this platform, you're letting us know that we can use it in machine learning. So
how much more do you know? Like, how much more do you know on this? This is something interesting. I think I might want to do some research on this and dive into it myself to kind of get the answers that I'm looking for in the sense of making money. Like, I understand what you're talking about, because we just mentioned this, like, and I never look at it as the aspect just of the money, but considering the fact that the music is already done and they're going to take it and they're going to push it and they're going to sell their subscriptions, or that be part of something that somebody can use, like Splice, for instance. You pay a monthly subscription and you have access to the whole catalog of samples that they have. So if that's something that SoundCloud is doing, where they're taking your song and then, someone could go through it and, spit something out of it, like that's used by AI, and they used your song cookie to create that AI song, then yeah, you got to get paid for that. You got to be compensated for it 100%. That's the only reason that I would sign a thing like that. And then again, depending on how much they're going to pay for the utilization of my music. If I felt like they're taking advantage, like Spotify, in that sense of monetization, then I wouldn't utilize that platform no matter what, because they're using my music to make other music. It's not like just like Spotify, where Spotify just streams your music and doesn't allow you to use it for AI. You know what I mean by that? Like what I'm saying, like in the operation.
100%. I know what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. And this is one of the reasons why I don't have my music up there. And I believe that you won't get paid. I believe I should do a little bit more research, but I don't think there's much more to be found out about it just yet. It'll be up soon. But I think their developments will be launching and being more unveiled soon. But what I believe is that it's just this simple. We all know what this machine learning is capable of doing. We're all using all the different tools, and we all know that they get their information. Here's another. I don't want to jump around too much, but I'll get to what Pseudo just formed a partnership with a company, basically about protecting songs from being scraped by the machine learning and being incorporated into there, which is funny because that's what they got sued for. So this is how people are rectifying the mistakes, I guess, that they did things maybe not quite the proper way. But getting back to SoundCloud and all these other platforms, and this is the point I was making just previously, like, we're just in a world right now. We have to accept it. When we create something, when we write something, sing something, whatever, it's going to be absorbed by some type of, from somewhere, machine learning, and it's going to be regurgitated out in some sort of fashion that it'll be able to be repurposed for others. Whether it's a lyric might have been to one of my songs, and somebody might be writing a story that has to do with the lyric that was one of my songs, and the machine learning might scrape the lyrics to that song, and there might be influence from an actual song I wrote into somebody's science fiction novel or some whatever. But I'm just making an abstract example. But a doctor that puts up a study online, that information could be scraped and turned. I mean, let's be really abstract. It could be turned into a musical melody. Like machine learning and the way it absorbs all this information, we have no idea of how our stuff is being regurgitated back out into the world. And I don't even necessarily think that's a bad thing, because if it's for the common good of civilization, amazing. All I'm saying is we should be aware of it, and we should not partake if we don't want to. You know, like if you don't want to be a part of the output of this stuff, you know, I
You
think it's
don't
pretty
have to
hard.
sign the agreement. Yeah.
Yeah, but
I,
to be honest with you, though, I think it's hard to avoid it. I think we just have to accept that this is the way the world is going
it's
to
being yeah, it's
transfer.
happening. You think it's happening regardless or what. So SoundCloud actually addressed that situation. They addressed it, and they said that they've never ever used anybody's music for machine learning, for AI learning. They seem, you know, I'm just reading here on Pitchfork, and I'm reading on TechCrunch. So they quietly changed their terms of use to allow the company to train AI on audio that users upload to its platform. But they've said that they've never done it, so they're asking for the permission to avoid all this stuff. You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows where that's all going to lead? What the whole purpose of them wanting to do that, like. So that's what I want to get down to. I want to do the research. I want to find out why they want to do that. Why do you want to take other people's music, even with their consent, and mix it in with AI? Like, yeah. So I'm curious to know why they want to do that. And then who's using it? Who's going to SoundCloud to do that? Who are they bumping off? What companies are actually using AI, you know, where you can create AI music? You know, some of them off the top of your head. You can let us know here. But what other companies are doing that, using, or just AI music platforms? So what are they trying to do? Like, I just don't see a popular. At any rate, I see it as a fad, if anything, in the long.
We'll see. There's a part of me, and I hate to even say it out loud, that thinks that people, and I don't want to use the word lazy, but they look for convenience. And if you're looking for convenience, somebody who maybe didn't spend a lot of time loving and appreciating and learning how to create their own art, whatever it is, music or whatever, and you're using these technologies for the quick fix, it's just like, you know, it's just like the serotonin hits. You know, you can go to Suno or Studio or whatever they're called, and you go blah, 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 and it creates something that's usually, I try to say this with love, but pretty fucking corny. But with that said, it's pretty good though, too, you know? It's kind of like, okay, this is kind of cheesy, but
You can have
then,
some
and this is
fun.
me talking, but that's what I'm saying. And this is me saying this. So I'm saying it's kind of cheesy, but then again, I listen to it and I'm like, you know what though? It's like, I've done some cheesy things. I've made some cheesy things myself in my day. I didn't release them, but you know, it's like there's a process to
You should
creating.
release them, so you could also say, "I'm cheesy too." You see, guys,
You know,
and that
see,
could
I
be
can be
that could be your
cheesy
new slogan. Cook your Rabinowitz. I'm cheesy too.
with the cheese, but I've
Yeah.
never done anything as cheesy as what I've heard from Udio or what's the other one? There's another one too, but I've experimented with them. It's fun. I'll give you a
Sono.
quick story. Yeah, Sono. Sometimes when it's really slow at the club when I'm DJing, what I'll do is I'll get all the strippers' names that are in the room, and I'll
Yeah,
type
yeah.
them into those things, and I'll just do a real quick thing, and we just kind of all laugh and chuckle. So, but that's what I mean, though. It's like
Yeah.
it was like fun, you know. And the thing is, I don't have a problem with the technology, and I don't have a problem with the people that use it. I have no problems. But what I'm in fear of is our human nature, and as humans, sometimes when we get the quick fix, we avoid taking the really fruitful path of
The journey.
strain, you know,
Yeah.
struggle and persistence. You know, you got to put muscle into it. You know, if you want to get something, if you want to get the mojo cooking, you got to fucking get your sweat equity into something. No doubt about it. I've been alive long enough to know that nothing great comes cheap and easy. So
I agree with that, man. Got to put the work in, put the hard work in. If you can work efficiently at it by utilizing some of the tools, but you know, continue to be human about it, like, and use your human nature with utilizing some of this stuff. Because, and I'll tell you, we spoke about this a million times, but ChatGPT, for instance, I mean, I kind of use it on a daily. You know what I'm saying? I use it on a daily because it helps me. I don't have to pay anybody but the subscription for it, and I just ask what I need, even if it's. I use it sometimes for the myriad market predictions. Like, I'm like, some stuff I don't know. I'm like, will such and such. I'm like, I was looking up Keith Grossman because I really think that prediction is a weird one. Like, how many exclamation points will Keith Grossman? I just don't think that's like a coin flip. That's not really a. I guess they're all coin flips, but you have a better chance to know, like, let's say, on a basketball team or a soccer team or football team, whatever, anything sports, racing, you can kind of understand and have a better chance to, pick a winner or whatever the situation is, opposed to just taking a guess, like if he's going to, have 20 or more exclamation points. So I was just goofing around and I was like, ChatGPT, find out how many exclamation points Keith Grossman used last year during consensus 24. Didn't give me any information back, but I was asking it just to kind of see, like, did he use 20? Did he use under 20? Like, I was thinking ChatGPT can actually look at the Twitter, his tweets, and tell me, or his posts and tell me, calculate how many exclamation points. But it didn't work, and I, failed fast on that, ladies and gentlemen. Asked, did not receive, and moved on.
I just want to add one more thing to that. I hope I'm not getting too long into talking about this.
So real quick, so I bet the under. Ladies and gentlemen.
Bet the under? Okay, I'm going to bet the under too then, because I know you're a shark there on Myriad.
I'm not a shark, dude. I got sharked. Any hoots, man. So we have our guest coming on soon. And what was so we talked about that, the SoundCloud thing. What was the other thing that you wanted that you were bringing up? But I stopped you because I wanted to talk about SoundCloud for a minute. There was something else, if you can remember.
I mean, there's a few other things going on. I know what we're talking about, but I don't want to get into it now because we're too close to the guest coming up. I'll save it for next week. But okay. Where are we at? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're right there. But so, I mean, I'll just rather cap off this last conversation. I just, if I'm being a little old school and old fashioned here, I just want to say that the youth is coming up with all these tools, and their struggle could potentially be the quick fix. And if that makes any sense. So the way they do things is going to be easier, which is going to seem like it's harder to them because it's always been easy this way. And I do have a little bit of concern that just might make for shittier art in the future. But it's not too much of a concern because, like, we just have to kind of do our thing and see where it goes. And in another way, because they have a fast track there, it might create something super beautiful that we've never had before. So I'm going to try to keep open-minded about it. But I got to be, honest with my own instincts, and they just are what they are because of how long I've been on the planet, So whether it's a good or bad thing,
No doubt. That's right. It's good way to end that segment, man. Our guest is here with us. So if you want to introduce, want to bring him up?
Oh, sure. For sure, man. So we got Sasan coming on. The reason I believe he just signed on with Warps. I believe he's a CEO there. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I was interested in bringing him on the show to talk about Warps, and he has another project you mentioned, Hef. Warps was, before any of this AI stuff was booming on Web3 and the crypto space and everything, Warps was a music project that incorporated files generated, that the mix of the files was generated through AI. I believe real artists created the initial tracks, but then AI somehow spun them so it could make like a generated, like a 10,000 PFP, but it was generated music. They were attached to PFPs too by a renowned artist, which we'll get into on the show. But the music itself, there was like a bass track, a keyboard track, a drum track, and they were all kind of generated and repurposed using AI. And the people that, got got into this project, they had IP rights to all the music that was generated, as well as they had some really cool collabs with Me Bits, with Mike Shinoba of Linkin Park. He did a really cool thing with them where he actually generated an app that was an NFT that it was like a drum machine, but a digital, like on-screen drum machine. I messed around with it for a while. It was really cool, actually. And I think they were ahead of their time with all this AI stuff, because this was before, like I said, Suno, before Udio. And but as we saw, NFTs kind of quickly boomed and fizzled out in this realm, you know, of utilizing like PFPs and stuff for the most part. So the people that were into that type of thing, I think, lost interest, and the company changed around quite a bit. And Sasan is hopefully going to tell us a little bit about it today, because I think he's revitalizing it and bringing some new life into the onto the project. So please welcome Sasan. And I hope I'm saying your name right, Sasan. I think your mic.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Yeah.
Like,
here we go. I had it on mute. GM and GN at the same time.
Yeah.
GM, thanks for being with us today. Is it Sasan?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, Sasan. So you got it perfectly, man. Not many can do that because of the, you know, it's you lean because go towards Sasan, like, you know.
Yeah,
but
excellent.
You nailed it. Perfect.
Yes.
Thanks.
Like us to you, and you to us, you have an accent. Where are you located? Where are you from?
So, I'm kind of like everywhere, nowhere, but Netherlands I call like my jumping base. I'm kind of most of the year I'm bouncing between UK, Netherlands, and some other places. But I would say, yeah, I think I'll just go where the flow is, and I think this is also one of the things that Web3 kind of really kind of vibes with me, because, you know, I don't need to have to change a lot of the lifestyle part, because, you know, it's all, at the same time, you know, it's almost 3 a.m. here, but that also means it's a 24/7 gig. There is no 9 to 5, there is no weekends, but it does also allows me to have afternoon naps, right? So it is a lifestyle that I've kind of picked, and it perfectly fits with the Web3 spirit. So I feel perfectly at home, you know, in the space. So the accent, but originally I'm from Iran, so you might sometimes catch a mixed accent between Dutch and British, and at the same time a bit maybe Iranian accent in between them as well.
That's great. I just dropped my uncle off. Actually, my uncle's Iranian. I dropped him off. Him and Tarbal, his niece, to the airport. He's in Iran for 2 months now. I think in Tehran. So yeah, my little cousin, she's Iranian. Yeah.
Perfect timing perfect timing as well. It's good weather at the moment there. You don't get that a lot in the UK.
That's right. So he's over there chilling for 2 months. But anyway, so like awesome. So I'm glad you globe traveling, and welcome to the show. So let's talk about Warps. You know, you have it on your on your screen, and let's get into it. So what is Warps? You know, why are you what are you doing at Warps? Why are you there? And you know, what brought you to it? And what is it about?
So I think Cookie did a really good rundown of the history of it, and also kind of touch on one of the reasons I was able to step in and take a bit lead on it, is they were early, right? And one of the part is sometimes being early, it doesn't mean translating the first mover's advantage, but you're just being way ahead of the rest of the head of the curve, right? And I think when I first the mint started, I think in January 17, 22, and it attracted immediately drawn into it, because also what Cookie said on how the collection came to be, right? It wasn't just, especially in 22, we had random generation. Everybody would be dropping another collection, right? And then you had this collection that was already doing moves in a space that we were still attaching in terms of machine learning instead of AI, right? So these were the terminology we were familiar with, and AI was like something still in the movies. And then in less than like 2-3 years, it all became an very reality, like something like Suno, right? So, but when we go back 22, I came across this project and I saw like, oh, well, all right. So the art is awesome. It's done by Andy Kuhn. It's very unique because it's a tree-based collection. So, as I call it, as in like, it's not one base model where 10,000 generation is thrown out at it. So you got the cyber, yeah, I call it the cyber lady, the bunny and the lizard. These three combo each have 3,333 of them within the collection, right? So that alone makes it a very quite unique collection because I didn't see that before in the Web3 space. Normally you have that one base color, and not only there are three bases, there are three different bases that each enjoy their own identity in their own way, right? And then you have add this music layer that is so unique that it's generated based on these traits, on the visual traits of this. So this was way ahead of it in so many ways. And then not only that, you have commercial rights to it, right? So and then as time progressed, we had the blur, the decimation of the royalty systems. Um, but yeah, the money's at these projects, the burn rate is high, right? You got good collaboration, the burn rate is high, but by the time these royalties kind of dried up, and then you have something like Suno coming up and ChatGPT dropping, that means you started, you kickstarted something amazing, but at the same time, all these new projects, new initiatives, new VC money that's being poured into AI is just pacing you by, fast by. And that's just the reality of the tech world, right? There is no good, there is no bad. Is just, how do you say, we are some of the sacrificial lambs of tech innovation, right? A lot of people back in the days, they try to like pinpoint faults, not per se with warps anyways, but with 60, 70, 80% of all the projects out there. So they all go to zero, not because they're bad intentions, but it just didn't work out. Their strategy, their roadmap that they had in mind was not sustainable, right? So when we bring it back to the reason why I stepped in, because I came back from before this with Adidas, when January, and I already had the warps in my eyesight, I would say for the last 15 months. I knew there was like, some trouble in the paradise in terms like, again, funding. When funding dries up, when you're in a high tech space, we're not talking about a burn rate or like 500 quid a month, right? And there's no money pouring in, and you can't really force a new mint on your community, because mint induces means debt. Mint is not just getting money. Mint means you're having a community debt now. What are you going to deliver, right? So that's always a consideration for, even I would say, team before me, or even at this stage, right? Um, how do you keep it sustainable? How do you create value in such? I mean, Cookie touched on this point very, very good in when it comes to Spotify, monetization, artists being milked to the last cent, and then you come to ownership in the Web3 space, you get drawn into it. I think we've seen several artists drop their album just on Web3. They made like 1 million, and they went making to music, right? That scares the shit out of people at Spotify. They don't like that stuff, right? So all this kind of brings me to Warps and saying, all right, there is something there. It makes them nervous. We've seen success story with individual artists. So how can a project as Warps bridge those two gaps, right? So that how do you say? So you don't need to be per se that artist that drops, his album every now and then hopefully gets 1 million. But at the same time, we have to be realistic. So the realistic here part is each NFT has, of course, its own high quality stem, its music, but then we go to right, all right, who's the audience? Who's going to purchase it? Because okay, if you want some stems, you just go online, right? You just make it yourself. So what is the value of the NFT that holds commercial rights, right? That's a discussion that is ongoing and will keep ongoing, because I would say my answer 6 months ago is rubbish today, and whatever I'm going to answer today is going to be rubbish in 3 months. So, and I think that's the tricky part on how to make it sustainable, provide value to the artist. Again, as Cookie touched, how can we avoid that quick fix? How can we provide value to the artist, while at the same time at the hold to the holder as well, right? Um, so I might be a bit wandering off on the topic. You have to bring me back maybe on the road again, but I think to come back to why I chose Warps between all these hundreds of other collections is the uniqueness of the totality, the fact that is you own the audio rights, the tree-based model, the unique history sense, and the ownership that is on chain for the last 2-3 years. That's something else I like. I want to make sure at least I'm going to preserve that before we can thrive on that, because
How
this
do you
is
how do you
part
how
of
do you get
yeah
how do you get the audience? I don't mean to cut you there, but how do you
yeah
get
go
the
for it.
audience to your platform? And then how do you get the musicians? How do you get them both want to be on your platform? What are some of the incentives besides what you're talking about here
Mhm.
to bring them there? What's going to attract them to your platform?
Sure. So there are some right. Some of it, I'm just trying to find the right words, which part I can share and what parts, I'm trying to keep a bit uh, in the back as well. Maybe I can ask the question other way around, Cookie, or even at half, man. Um, what kind of value can it bring to you, right? Because that is the main question. Like these kind of questions and conversation I'm already having with artists and bands, and for them this is also a very difficult question to answer, like because they're used to doing things for the last 40 years in a certain way, right? Why should they want to do this? What is I already if I make something in my home, I already own it. Why should I want your NFT, right? These are the hard questions you need to ask and answer. So this is not an hopium of 22 moon my bag. This is serious stuff. This is people are putting money into it because they trust the process, they trust your vision. But it is serious stuff. You can't just say like, we can purchase this and you own this. You can make music with it. You can sell the music. I mean, I have people in the holders base that have like hundreds of these, and I asked them like, have you made anything? You know what I mean? It's like you've got access to 100 stems. Have you made one song with it? And they say no, maybe someone wants to buy it. So then I'm like, all right, so you're not a listener, you're not a creator. You see yourself as an investor in a not in a space in a space that uh, shouldn't be so investment focused, right? We sold the utility as a hope back in 22, all the projects, and people in the community came in with the same kind of words. Yeah, we're gonna, we're a community. We're gonna make things great. But all these projects, what happened is 90% are investors and 10% are really users. I think I might make a segue to maybe Artifact, right? Artifact, amazing project, right? Builders by builders for builders. But in the end, you got like 200 builders out of the 10,000 holders. Is that sustainable? Heck no. Is it sad? Hell yes. It's a beautiful project, but that's the reality of the space we are in, and I think there was this disconnect between what was being sold and who purchased himself into it, because the people that should have been come into it were not even in the space. I'm not sure even they're still in the space, right? So I'd rather have like 200 cookies in the in my community than 5,000 normies who says GM. You know, and these are maybe the hard and more difficult questions. Oh,
Let me stop you real quick. I'm not sure
yeah.
what it is, but I'm hearing some crazy noise when you're talking. So it's like behind you, like every word you're saying, it's like throwing noise. And I want people to hear what you're saying. I don't know if you have anything on in your background, a TV or radio.
Let me test it again. Still happening?
Yeah, you were good the other way. It's just something behind you. Like every time you talk, it's like, yeah. Sorry to even bring it up, but
No, that's
I
right. Let
want
me see.
people.
No, that's all right. I mean, otherwise it's not. Let me. Maybe I should change my position. 1 second.
Yeah, Cookie. I'm not sure what it is, but I
Hey,
think I want people to
I'm
hear what
good.
he's saying.
Is it better now?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. All right, let's go then. It was probably my
okay.
position.
Yeah. Even if it's not, it's all good. We're gonna just keep it moving. If
Let's go.
anything, just the audience is aware that there's a little bit of noise there. It's no problem.
All right, but yeah. So it's these are the difficult questions. So that's why, like, when you ask me, like, what is the platform? Honestly, there is no platform, because the value that connect has to be make sense. Like Cookie, like, what does, even if you put a platform that you would have a big play, like with the digital keyboard with your stems that you own, would you use it, or would you just go to Suno and make a dope ass song?
I'll do
Right.
neither, to be honest with you. But the people, but I could see people, the people, the type of numbers you would need to make a platform like this work.
Mm.
They would go to Suno because it's kind of like the way social media works. It's an endless stream of stuff. Like if people buy intellectual property rights to like 3 stems or 5 stems or 100 stems, even if it's 1,000 stems, they get this one little box, but they're in that box. Even if there is only 1,000 stems that Uno has that they're regurgitating to the millions of people that are going there, it still seems like it's an open door to the universe. People go there, they type in some words, they get some stuff back. So they get the experience of an endless stream of what they feel is exciting and creating music in an easy fashion.
Yep.
So
That is it. Yeah, yeah, spot on, spot on. So when you say, like, all right, what kind of value does it bring? Why should someone come, or why should someone hold? There are many reasons, but I would say the musical reason. I think we are playing this cat and mouse game at the moment with the tech. Whatever platform, you even see it in the VC with these kind of initiatives like Suno, and they come up and they bringing this series of funding in, and by the time they're ready to have their MVP and launch, something else is already coming out. For example, the other day I was playing with Meshi, and I saw this tweet about this new image to 3D, and I used it, and that thing was like 50 times better than Meshi, while Meshi, in 3D has been the standard, and Suno is great. I'm just waiting who's gonna, what's the Suno killer in this case, right? So
for
I
sure.
think, we are going through such a quick revolution. So I've been here around since back since the dial-up, and and the dot-com bubble and everything. We are not in the stabilization phase at all. We are in exploration. We are innovating hard. Every day I'm soaking up so much new information, and next week I'm logging in and it's already outdated, right? So to even entertain the thought of, like, saying I'm going to build this, I'm going to make that, at the very least you're naive, at the best, in the worst case, you're ignorant, right? That's just the reality of it,
For sure.
um that's just the reality of I mean, even bigger projects, like we go to Yuga, how many structural strategic pivots have they made in less than 24 months, right? And then when we bring it back to the music, and like what kind of value will the project provide? And I think that's part I'm most excited about. It's the uncertainty provides room for experimenting with dope stuff, right? So when you mix tech and AI and music and immersiveness, you've opened the door to so much new experience that wouldn't be even possible, accessible. So that quick fix cookie becomes, all of a sudden, it becomes um, an easier way to create more expansive experiences with less resources and less bandwidth, right? So I think if I make a cutaway to like Riff Radio, and I think that initiative kind of started in during the Adidas phase as part of the community, and the reason was, when you're working with big corporate structures, it's very hard to push through quick activations. That's just the nature of things. There's a lot of liability. You're not doing some startup, right? Basically, 50,000 people are working. You got a 50 billion company that's uh, one wrong tweet, it crashes 10% of the stocks, right? There's a lot of checks and balances to go through. But in a space like Web3, you can't have that. You need to move fast. People want fast actions. So that kind of gave birth to Riff Radio, which within the community of Adidas, that would be doing spaces, doing immersive experiences, activation with the community. And that kind of allowed, gave birth to our friend here, Blinko, and my alter ego here, Fernando, which allowed through Riff Radio have this motion capture setup where you will have this lore, you connect with the story, you want to be part of it, and it all gets reconnected through music. And one of these immersive experiences was done in London. And at the event, what was happened, we built in spatial.io and virtual space where they could hang out. But at the same time, the music that was playing was in sync with the in real life venue music. What allowed the people in the spatial to do is the shared Spotify playlist to influence that. So basically, you might be vibing in real life, but someone else is in the metaverse on spatial.io controlling the playlist at that moment, right? So at this stage, it might seem, that ain't much. But again, 2 years ago, that was like kind of amazing to do, right? But if you say like, yeah, I did that, like, oh, yeah, that ain't special, right? Because everybody can do it right now. So that quick fix, it also pushes you further, because to excel as an artist, now you have to do more. To stand out, you have to do more. You can't be a one-trick pony. You can't, like, I remember like back when I was young, an artist would come out, they have a one hit, and for the next 7 songs, I would hear the same melody with just different lyrics, right? So because that's the quick fix. That was their quick fix. Oh, the audience likes this tune. Let's slap another lyrics to it, repeat the shit out of for the next 20 songs, and that's how you make it, right? Not today. So I think we might have become also a bit complacent, lazy, and I think this kind of tech is very exciting. That's gonna push. I would say it will invite a lot of new souls into it, but it would put, I would say, experience more users. It's like giving them nitro, right? And I think that's like, Cookie, how many people would come in their head while they're doing their set to use Suno to connect with the audience like that? Like,
Well,
you have to have experience. You have to have some experience. It's not like, if let's say if I would go tomorrow as a DJ, I have zero experience as a DJ. That's not something that would come onto my mind. I would just, play a random remix probably, or just put some Suno stuff on it. So that's where experienced users, artists, I say users, but I mean artists in general, right? They're gonna use this stuff as nitro, and they're gonna build so many amazing stuff for with it, and I'm quite excited for that part.
For sure, you know, this kind of reminds me of how we hear a lot about how like and I'm just using Nashville as a word because that's in the article I read or in whatever the interview I heard or whatever, but a lot of Nashville artists, when they get in the room, or let's not even say Nashville, but songwriting groups, like a group of people write pop, like you know, based, if you will, session songwriters, they get together in groups, how they're all like using like AI now while they're writing the lyrics and everything and this and that. And I don't want to say, I don't mean all, obviously. I hope I don't offend anybody, but this is lending what you're saying is these are experienced songwriters that probably have several hits under their belts before this stuff all came along, you know, but now that it's here, they're like, okay, if the 10 of us sat in a room and cranked out 10 hits 6 months ago, we can crank out 20 hits right now. And so, I mean, this is a use case of where, and then also, I want to also refer to Corey Van Loo, who's an amazing artist, you know, painter, multi-talented, multi-disciplined, if you will. But I've been seeing on the timeline, I know Hef as well, like he has been utilizing AI to like put his paintings to video. And it's
Give motion
like,
to it, give motion to the painting.
yeah, it's sick. I mean, it's crazy. So like there's a part of me deep down in my soul that wants to say, fuck AI. But then there's a part where I see genuine artists utilizing it in a beautiful way as well. So this is my own inner, you know, fight that I'm trying to figure out. But I do see what your point is how,
You know,
people utilize it in a tasteful way.
you know what the beauty of us humans are? We are brilliant in pattern recognition, and we get really bored quickly with it. And the reason I'm, you know, highlighting this is all these one-trick ponies, quick fixes, all these stuff. You know, it's the same thing when Midjourney first came out, and then we were all amazed, and then after 1 week, we were all like, "Man, we recognize it." You know, we recognize AI much faster and quicker than 3 years ago, than 2 years ago. Now our reality has reversed. When we see content, the first thing is this AI? As we've, you know, that's the first thing that everybody's mind goes now, right? So
I could see AI right away because I'm used to doing it every single day. So as soon as I see like anything on Threads or Instagram or even on Twitter for that matter, I could tell right away that it's AI. The image itself is AI. There's people that are utilizing the video, and some of it is really good, but for the most part, I could tell you when it's AI. It's just, I think a lot of people can, you know, but you're right to hit your point. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
I mean, it's again, of course, I think some of the holders will also watch back this, and they'll be like, hold up, he doesn't know what he's gonna do or what he wants. Well, the thing is, because I know nobody should do anything at this point, is what I'm just holding and waiting for the right moment to hit into the lane. I think that's the best answer I have. But in between those, I'm gonna explore the heck out of immersive experiences and providing that to the holders. And this could go hand in hand with music, AR, VR, and mixed with metaverse. And that's the beauty of Web3. It's boundless, right? We don't have any rules to bind by. Like there are no Web2 meetings of what is within the brand identity, what is within the marketing. Would legal would they like this? You know, it's boundless, and that allows us to explore the full immersive spectrum of this tech. And I think that will be probably the focus, exploring how to provide real immersive experience, not because it's a gimmick, but as a connecting tool, right? I think that's the whole point of we started this whole journey, community, connecting. But then we ended up just using it as a as a banner just to, you know, mostly people pump their backs. That's what it is, right? And but that's not sustainable. Like, you know, that's just the reality. If you're as a founder or CEO or whatever project in this space, if I hear you at any conferences, doesn't matter how good your project is doing, if I hear you once say to the audience that you're going to be amazing, that you have the solution, if you tell the audience you have the solution, again, at best you're naive, in worst case you're malicious, you're just, you know, you're not pure in your intentions. So, and I don't think a lot of people like to hear these kind of conversation, but this is just a hot truth. This is how we get to be taken seriously as space, and, you know, we get, you know, throw out the bad eggs. That's just the only way, you know. And also with when it comes to using the tech and ownership, same thing. I've seen a lot of musical cash grabs as well. You know, it's not limited to just generative art. So
Where
these
there's
are,
a
I
will,
think,
there's a way. That's for
yeah,
sure.
and I think sure we need to have hope, because all odds are against us. We're trying to disrupt so many industries that don't want to be disrupted, right? So every wrong move we make is just another headline for them. Every bad actor we enable is another reason for 10,000 people not to join us. So this is, I think since I took over, this is my first video as well, like, you know, talk about this. But that's just the reality. We need to have these tough discussions. We need to be excited about the future and the tech that we can play with, but we have to also be real with what stage it is at this moment. And at this moment, we're just exploring everything. You know,
That's right.
everything I'm saying is going to be useless in 3 months.
What advice do you have for the creators? What advice can you give to the creators?
Don't be disheartened by your feed. Don't be disheartened by the pressure to post content. You know, I always say you either make stuff or either post about stuff. You can't do both, right? And I think always there's this pressure with creators, like, yeah, but 2 weeks, but social media says I have to post 3 times a day. You know, how should I balance that? And I would say definitely the most part is, like, you know, don't get disheartened. You know, keep pushing. And as a cookie and as an artist, find yourself and have, right, someone that believes in you as a friend and just, you know, pushes you and kicks your ass and say, like, do that shit, man. Just put it out in the world, see what happens. Because as a perfectionist, you're never happy, man. Cookie, you're never happy, because the moment,
Well,
yeah,
and I just wanted to add to that, for sure. And the thing about if since we're talking about like posting on the timeline and stuff, and the thing that we're missing, and the thing that's valuable about artists is, and everybody always tells you, you know, if you listen to any of these, you know, people that are concerned content creators and all this stuff, you know, they talk about you know, if you're an artist, you need a story, and this is a story, and there's books called The Story Brand. It's about a story. Well, here's like my take on it is, everybody has a story, right? And the thing with social media and this is, it emphasizes encouraging not unimportant stories from an artist. Like, an artist shouldn't be concerned in leveraging content that's not pertinent to what the artist's voice is to gain engagement. I feel like if the artist made a bowl of oatmeal before he was going to post someone to post a bowl of oatmeal, then that's cool. It's no story. It's not interesting. But the artist needs to express themselves truthfully and not leverage other things as a sole source. And with that said, have you tried rec drinks? No, I'm just kidding.
But I think you're spot on, as in you as an artist, that might be, you know, as if you don't already have enough pressure on you. Your response, this might be a bit bold statement, and this is not even my quote, but as artists, we have a collective duty to reflect the times we live in, right? And part of that is, telling sometimes things you don't like, because that's just the reality we live in at that moment, right? And always see art as a form of self-expression, healing, communicating, bringing people together. It's so multi-layered. It's not linear, right? So you might have a phase that you have, you're more sad, so you feel that through your music, to whatever art form you have. If you're a painter, you feel it through that, right? But it is your duty to um, respond to here, not respond to the freaking timeline, not respond to the what's the blog saying, right?
100%.
And
100%.
and my role as within, whether it's Riff Radio or Warps, is to make sure that that path is not cluttered with noise, with hype, with what's the meta on my timeline, that I keep my focus on and stay true to the things that I believe. And I think that's the only way I can attract artists artists like Cookie, because otherwise, what else would you be drawn into if the lead is just, uh, just a hype man, like, just
Just Riffin.
following the meta, just,
That's right.
just yeah.
Just
Is that the
following
hour?
everybody else. You got to stand out. You got to be different. You got to
Yeah.
definitely put yourself out there. You can't be following everybody. I mean, there is a template to certain things, but I think true artists find their own path in their own way, and they make it to where other people want to follow them. But at the end of the day, you got to just do it. You can't be afraid. You got to stick your head out there. You got to stick your heart out there. You got to stick your neck out there. Whatever the sayings go, you got to just do it. Really is what it is. What I want to know, Sasan, is what is your outlook on, if you have an outlook on digital storytelling? And if you do, what is your outlook on that?
Ooh, now you touch on one of my favorite things: storytelling, lore. I think that is, I think one of the, I think that's the core of a lot of projects, but they sell it, but they don't
They don't
walk that
they
path.
don't follow through. Right, right.
They don't follow it through. They don't follow it through at all. Um, Partially, I think because they do it because they think, well, everybody does it, so we should do it as well, right? But what I what I kind of really believe in is feeling attached to what the sound of, let's say, Warps is, or any project for that matter. Like, there's a reason you have a certain NFT in your wallet and not that from the other collection, right? Because the community is kind of, yeah, but you like the other community, right? So, and that's where lore kind of plays a very, very important part. Like, what do you feel like? Do you feel like this personality? Do you feel, are you connected with this? Do you feel enough connected with that project's identity, vision, to say, I want to own that, but not only own a piece of that, I want to tell my story through that because it resonates so closely with me. But that only freaking works if it's genuine. If
That's
it's
right.
hashed, if it's hashed in the board meeting, nah, nah, not at all,
And the
right?
consumer will know. The consumer will know when it's bullshit. It's like looking at an AI image. They're going to know
Exactly.
where you're coming from. They'll sniff it out. If they don't sense it right away, they'll sniff it out after the second, third, fourth time that they're seeing you or hearing you. That is 100% the truth. You got to be true to yourself. So I echo, no pun intended, but I echo that.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's the same thing like with Riff Radio when we see like the alien Blinko. I mean, he's appraised by a good friend and Ollie and myself by Fernando. And one might look at Fernando as like he doesn't look anything at me like me, right? But yeah, when I started this, like, with Riff Radio, I kind of I started like, I want, how do I, like, if I had this alter ego, because again with Adidas we had all these alter egos, I would just close my eyes and I was like, how would I look and feel and act if I was some you know, in the 80s, radio DJ, middle of nowhere. How would I look? How would I act? How would I behave? Like, and then you crawl into this identity and you could become him. And every story flows out of that. And as the story continues in traditional fashion, he, meets the alien, and that's where the lore kind of develops and they become kind of co-hosts.
Yeah.
And in their
Is that the
exploration of
origin?
Web3.
Is that the origin? Well, is that the origin of Riff Radio and Fernando? Is that the origin there?
Yeah, yes, it's the origin. And then, Blinko, he kind of hacks into his radio stream and they become buddies. And Blinko is a very curious fella. So they embark on this journey to interview a lot of people in Web3 to see what's all this about, right? But then bring it through a very humorous, funny way, but that's still us without, it provides a fun, safe way to act goofy as well, right?
Sure.
To let loose that inner child, basically.
That's right.
And you can see that's also like, my touches on the animation, because the animation, like, I do the animation and also the edits and the posts. And
Yeah. What
motion
are
capture.
you doing the animation in? How are you editing it? How are you coming with the final product? What's your process?
Yeah. So the process is it's been iterated and kind of tweaked over the last 18 months, but a lot of AI recently more used into it. Like, for example, I would have these segments that the caller will call in, but it's just my voice with 11 labs thrown into it. The pipeline is normally like it's an Unreal Engine with live motion capture, live link, the whole thing rigged. And same with the animation, like, I would just suit up and do whatever goofy scene I want to do to tell the story.
Wait, when you say suit up, are you wearing one of those suits with the little balls all over it and the helmet with the GoPro and you're like moving around and talking and it's you? Are you like Gollum, the guy from like?
Yes, exactly.
Is that what you're doing? Are you really doing it like a video game? You're wearing a suit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so basically,
awesome.
so if you look at
I
like
wish
the
you would
last
have wore the
animation,
suit with us today, honestly.
so I had that consideration to basically come as Fernando or as myself. So
That would be awesome.
but that's like these are the part that's like fun exploring the edge of it, because like 4 years ago I would never be able to do this. It would have cost me at least 60K, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward
for sure.
today, the CPUs, the Unreal Engine updates, the live links, everything has become, even the suits become more accessible, because
Yeah,
it used
the
to be
tech
like
is caught up.
15K. It's caught up. Now you can make fun stuff with it. Very easy. So now what I then do is like, with Blinko, when we have these spaces, we're streaming it, but it's also being recorded, but it's streamed to multiple places. So we got the split screen that is also on TikTok. Now imagine
Yeah.
you're on TikTok and you're scrolling and you see, what the heck is this? Like, it's a live stream about these two very odd figures having even oddlier conversation, right? So when you ask about lore, I think it's so deeply ingrained into me that it's you're gonna see it in every twist and turn in warps as well.
Yeah.
But
I
it's genuine.
Let me ask you about lore. Let's stay on lore for a minute, because I really feel strong about lore too. I think, understanding the backstory of what's going on and or the characters, the scenarios, whatever, are super important. How many, and this is opinionated, but do you think that the rest of the world really cares? I know that like everything is so fast these days, right? TikTok, 15 seconds, 10 seconds, you catch someone's attention span. I mean, I see my cousins, they're on scrolling. It's just, they're scrolling one after the next, whether it's like how to prepare food, what foods not to eat. Oh, these dyes are bad for you. You've seen it. We've all seen it. If you're on social media, you see all these ads and stuff and different things and whatnot. But so how do you feel, again, opinionate your opinion on this?
I feel very positive about it.
You think people actually look for the lore?
I think it's inevitable, because if you're consistent with it, you're not part of the scroll anymore. You're part of their head. Consistency is key in this case, right? And you don't have to post every day. You just have to make sure you're present at moments that matter, and just make sure you're still around in 8 years. That's basically. So
Okay.
when someone asks you, like, so when someone asks you, "Yeah, what's your vision?" To make sure that it's still around in 10 years, 8 years,
How do you
right?
do that? How do you do that now? In your thoughts now, how do you do that? How do you sustain for, 10 plus?
So I might be maybe talking more from a privileged perspective, um, that I kind of took over a project, and even with Rift, that a lot of the overhead cost burn rate is non-existent, because let's be honest, if I had to every 2 weeks, so this is the I'll circle back to your question. So every 2 weeks in the spaces, when we invite a guest, I'll make a custom animation of the guest somewhere in the animation. And the story is these two stumble somehow in communication with the new guest through this radio transmitter, right? And um, so that part, if I had to outsource that to an external studio every 2 weeks, that would cost me. Firstly, that turnaround is nearly impossible for even a normal studio. So that I would have to then hire a high-end studio. That would have cost me between 5 and 7K every episode. So when you question, and then at the same time, financially, uh, I'm not in debt to the community in that sense. I did not demand mint. I did not say, like, give me 200 ETH. And now I have to provide value for the next 8, 10 years in some way. So I'm kind of in a good spot where a lot of the tech knowledge is already there, to push through that. And for financial stuff, it doesn't need to rely on the holders mint or future mints. So even if I would just go in idle mode, I can still maintain this for the next 8 years. But I don't want to do idle mode. I want to have lore. I want to have create dope stuff, involve the community, and then make them excited for it as well. But I don't want to do that through mint and getting into debt with them. So I rather go slow burn and make sure that their NFT that they're holding is still worth in 8 years. Because let's be honest, 5 months ago there was a situation that even the IPFS might have gone, like the artifact size situation, right? So I want to make sure that's not going to happen ever in any way, because coming back to why I took over Warps, it also has this historical value within the Web3 hype cycle. It's like I'm still trying to find any other project that has so much actual history and not like hypes. Because in 10 years time, if I have to tell the story of Warps, of the origin, it still has a lot of love and good intention into it, right? Because it goes way in 2018 when they started, way before NFTs, right? So part of it is also my responsibility to preserve that legacy. So in your case, like, how you can do that by not going into depth into to the community and by
Not
providing
doing
them
too
dope,
much, just
dope
sticking to what you
not doing
know
too much.
and
Yeah,
building. Yeah.
yeah. Again, comes back to the whole intention. Like, when I'm talking to a crowd and trying to sell a hype, no, that's coming back. It comes all the way back to intention. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What are your intentions? um to make sure that it stays and it thrives, but on a slow burn, without um putting pressure on the community. I think everybody that's still around it since 22, they've been true enough, right? In any project. So when you, as a CEO, want to do something, you have to very be conscious. Like, what is the effect of this? Am I providing value, or am I extracting value? And if I'm extracting value, what am I going to provide back in return for it? Very, very simple terms of it. right? And I think, you know, Riff Radio is going to play a big role in that. Warps, you know, animation and storytelling. I think anybody that would just, you know, have a look at my feed and Riff Radio and Warps can, you know, kind of connect the dots a little bit of like, you know, how I envision kind of, you know, the route into this, that lore and storytelling and feeling connected to these characters. And I don't mean just Blinko and Fernando, of course, but the wider Warps collection and characters. So that's just going to continue, but it will be a slow burn. But because again, I'm not here to entertain the meta, I'm not here to entertain the timeline. My holders, you know, are almost 50% unique. You know, the day that I took it over, I know basically about 50% that is on the timeline has a Warps in their wallet. Who am I going to appease? Am I trying to sell to them? 50% already hold one. I need to provide value to them. They already got the NFT, right? So to do that, I need to have a steady and focus and not get distracted by noise. And I think that would and will resonate also with at some point with our artists as well, when they see, right, here's the thing. I've seen artists do this thing as well. They jump to the meta. Now I'm mint on Solana. Now I'm mint on that. Now I'm mint on this. Every 2 weeks, every 3 months. So I'm a collector as well as an art, right? I love collecting all these art NFTs. But
What's your favorite NFT project? What's the best thing that you've collected that you really turns your mind around?
Are we talking about art?
Art.
I kind of Yu I think I like. Alien Queen got some dope stuff. I like that psychedelic stuff as well. You know, my budget, I keep my budget in a fun space. Yeah, I'm not getting like 10K, 20K stuff. I'm getting stuff that I would say like I wouldn't mind to even gifting it to someone if I like, right? So, well, I would say Alien Queen is and yeah, it's definitely in the top because it kind of that psychedelic.
She's great.
Nice with the warps. You know, I love it. I love it. So, curious. What about you guys, man?
Cookie, I'll let you take this.
I'll try to be brief. I know I ramble on. With art, I'm probably the type of I like stuff that's accessible to me. I know it's funny you mentioned Alien Queen. I think her stuff is great, and I feel like a bit of a poser because a lot of her stuff is kind of like, you know, hallucinogenic references. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy mushrooms, but not to a level to where I feel guilty for liking her art so much. I feel like I should do more.
Melting.
You know, I feel like I need to start doing more hallucinogenics to enjoy it. But she's awesome. But I like, you know, obviously I like OSF's art. Like, I just like what I like, and it's got to be a little. It's got to have a little. And I said this in a nice way. It's got to have a little dirt. I need to see a little pain in there. If I don't see pain in there, it has to make me feel good, but I have to know it came from pain. So I'm trying to enjoy other people's pain, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
you got to add some oatmeal to it, and you're good to go.
Oatmeal, you know. But yeah. So I mean, yeah, right there. On. You know, I like that. What's that one dude? Adam. My God, I forget his name. No, Adam Tastic is amazing. You know, I love who is the animator? Brian Brinkman.
Brian Brinkman, he's great too. Coldy is amazing.
Yeah,
all those guys are great. You got Greg Mike. I mean, we could go on and on.
Yeah, I could go on and on. I got to be honest with you. I like what I like, and that's a very small thing, but I appreciate there's a bunch of amazing illustrators and painters and all kinds of artists in this space. And it's opened my eyes up and made me more of appreciative of that type of stuff. Before I was just very audio driven. But
that's right. Jus Riffin. I say Jus Riffin. Well, you know, Greg Mike, I would say, is probably one of my favorite artists, you know, and he's put some NFT projects out. He's more of a nostalgic but more straightforward artist. You can look him up. It's really like pop art, very poppy, very bright colors. I like things like that. As I like Alien Queen too, because she uses those bright colors. Coldy as well. I like that kind of stuff. The Adam Tastic stuff is fantastic. just the animation that those guys are doing. The Brian Brinkman, I mean, that's on, to me, just next level type of stuff as far as art goes. I just like anything that's not boring, you know. I don't know. I think everybody, just my opinion on art is that it's like humans, like human beings, right? We're all quick to judge each other. You know, oh, look how fat that person is, or look how skinny that person is, look how pretty that person is, too much makeup. We all do this. We have a lot of people just judging other people, you know. With art, it's the same thing. You know, people are gonna like it, they're gonna hate it. That's it. You know, that's just the way life is, to me, with art. You know, so you're gonna see how they say that it's in the eye of the beholder. Everybody sees something different in art itself. What I think is amazing, and I'm like, holy crap, like that's the holy grail. One of you guys could look at it and be like, not really, and that's your opinion, right? So, but there are a lot of great artists in this space.
Yeah, yeah, it's and I think kind of I kind of like Cookie's response also, like, you know, I need to feel something, right? Show me the pain of the artist on the canvas, right? And I think, like, when we filter to Web3 artists alone, right? And you know, it's not even a controversial take, to be honest, but let's be honest, 99.9 is trash. I've seen so many new artists being born all of a sudden during the NFT boom, right?
Everybody wanted to get that money. That's why, bro. You know.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Again, slow and steady. Like, I didn't purchase anything at that day, because here's the thing. Like, sure, I have a very tech background, but I grew between the oil canvases. Like, my mom had this had a gallery studio, and I would, like, help her old school create the canvases, like, you know, chop the wood, you know, nail it, old school. And then, you know, and we talk about oil, you know, oil canvases. That means one mistake, you can throw the shit away, right? That's that stuff. So when you talk about, like, that pain, Cookie, like, yeah, I felt that. I would see her have that joy and the pain at 2 a.m. in the fumes of her own room with all this paint, turpentine, and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Right. So, but at the same time, and then you see this transformation to digital art, where traditional artists back then would say, this ain't art because it's drawn on a tablet. Right.
Come on, man.
Including, like, my mom, when I first show her, like, yeah, but that's digital. Like, but then I show her, like, yeah, but at that stage, she, as a traditional artist, does not know the amount of work needed to create that digital. Then you show her, like, speed drawing, and then the eye opens, like, holy shoot, this isn't only beautiful, but this is now a new tool that I can use. I can just experiment with effects that I don't need to, you know, smell the fumes of, basically. So, and I think with music and AI, we have come across the similar intersection there, where a lot of traditional digital artists would say that ain't art because it's just a prompt. But then, as an artist, you dig into it and you see, like, nah, it ain't just a prompt. There are layers to this. It ain't just you give the prompt and it gives you something magically, right? If you want to make something great as an artist, then you have to tap into those experiences you've accumulated over the last 30, 40 years and ask and guide it in the right direction. Otherwise, you're just shooting in the dark. Like if we would ask a non-coder to code something through ChatGPT, it's still useless. But, like, I have a friend he's like a brilliant coder, and he used ChatGPT, and the stuff that he makes up, he says, like, Sasan, this would have taken me 3 months. Now I'm shooting MVPs one after another, and I'll just disregard 80% and I'll use the 20%. But back 6 months ago, I couldn't even imagine having this many MVPs because it would have taken me 3 years.
It's amazing. ChatGPT is amazing. Really, it is. It's just AI. It's coming. It's here. And utilize these tools. I'm with it. I use ChatGPT every day. I'm sure like a lot of other people do. And I use other tools as well. And I'm always wanting to learn. I really want to learn more about the film and animation process of AI, music. I don't know. I'm not really. I love music. I'm a musician too, but music is my thing. I just
I think that's
yeah.
That's also why I'm hesitant. That's why I'm also hesitant with like answering that whole platform question, because it kind of goes against my nature, and that part goes back to when I grew up into that art gallery. What do I associate with what is art? What do I associate what is music? Like, I want to feel the soul of the musician through my song. I don't want to hear 11 Labs bullshit. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear that heartbreak you had, because it resonates with me.
That's right.
I've had songs when I was like, I think maybe a lot of people had that, like 12, 13 years old. I'll be like talking about my, singing and almost tearing up for the biggest heartbreak. I never had a girlfriend at that age, but it touched you so deeply that you, as a 12-year-old, you start like, yeah, man, I'm so sad about this heartbreak, right? That's why, like, I'm very conflicted to entertain too much with that AI and music, but warps as in music and tech and that AI layer it already has. There's much to explore without selling out to the real, maybe
I understand
wrong
what you
choice of
mean.
word, real artist.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Not being a poser. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And just using AI, and like somebody brought it up in and I can't see it because this my screen is too bright, but brought it up in Abstract, because we're streaming also on Abstract Chain. So everybody, welcome if you're on Abstract Chain as well. But saying that it annoys him when people use AI and then they're like they're like this gifted creator. They're using AI. If you're using AI, just say that you're using AI. Don't just use AI and be like, I'm the greatest thing, since I don't know what to say. But whatever.
I think like I don't want to hear or see that you have used AI, and the amount you should have used should be so minimal. It shouldn't be even needed to be explained. Now, for example, I have many animations where I would use image to 3D because it's just faster. Now, why am I using that? Because it's complementing the scene. It's not the zoom shot, right? So, for example, if I have a shot that is focal for like 20, 30 centimeters, and I have a couch that I want to place in the back, or a window that's kind of blurred, that's the scene setting, right? I might do that AI. I'm setting the scene and tone, but I'm not, the main object, the focus. I'm not using AI for
the
that.
rest of the work is coming from you, right?
Right, exactly.
Excellent.
So another point that we used AI for example, board closet. Like, if you're familiar, well, like, board closet is where you go and kind of dress your mutant ape or other NFTs. So what was used certain traits within the collection as inspiration, and then iterated that through AI to make a garment piece out of that for that collection, right? And again, it's maybe 20%, so you can see the inspiration, but you can also see, like, all right, this is this AI or is this in the AI? Because the AI part is just maybe 20%. The rest is still hand done, right? And I think that's the most allowed percentage. First, I shouldn't be seeing it, and secondly, if you have to confess that you've used it, it shouldn't have been more than 10-15%.
Understood. Right? Yeah. I think, that, with the use of AI, people are going to continue to use it. They're going to continue to make it better, make it stronger, and make it so it's undetected. The AI companies, they definitely want that to make it more humanized. But, and I'll end it on this because, you know, we're at our 10 o'clock mark, you know, wrapping up the show. But, and I'll let you, you know, have your last word as well on this, and Cookie as well. But what I'm afraid of is when people in the future, let's say 5 to 10 years from now, are looking at it, that the thought in their mind, is that done with AI? Was it done with AI? I don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to hear it. I don't really care if you think it's AI, but what I really think that's annoying is that when they're looking at the art, they're not looking at the art for what it is. They're not trying to get the feeling from that art. They're thinking, is this AI or not? And that I don't like. That aspect of AI, I don't like people's thought processes of it. And I think it's only going to get to what I'm saying as the time goes on. People are going to be thinking that in their head instead of going, wow, I really feel that movement. Or, you know, if it's music, you know, coming from someone that's actually playing, you can actually feel them playing the guitar or playing the drum, whatever. You feel what I'm saying. You're getting, like Cookie mentioned earlier, that feeling from the art. And I'd rather people get that feeling looking at art opposed to looking at it and saying, is this AI or not? Or aspects of AI. But on that, on me, I want to wrap up. Sasan, I want to ask you, you know, what your opinion is there of what I just mentioned. And then, you know, we're going to pass it to Cookie, and then we're going to zoom out.
I think, you know, you kind of nailed the closing remarks from my end as well. Like, you know, it's not much super I can add to that, except as artists, and I think that's also the dilemma that many artists have when they want to dabble into space. After dabbling or 10 years in the Web 2 and the Instagram feed, they'll be like, all right, what hoops do I have to jump now? No hoops, man. No hoops. Don't jump. Please don't. No hoops. Please. Otherwise, again, when I'm saying, are you making art to sustain yourself? Or are you making art to, express yourself? Why are you making the art? Decide first on that part. But please do not jump through any hoops, because, and I'm maybe talking more as a collector now, we can see that in 2 years, 3 years time, we allow growth. If we see an artist is growing and iterating their art form, that's allowed. But if we see you're jumping hoops, following the meta or whatever, we're not collecting. I've seen so many artists burn bridges like that, kill their own kind of potential with bigger brands. Because here's the thing with bigger brands, even if you want to be big as an artist, brands, they lack identity, so they love latching into the identity of artists. Like, that's why collaborations kind of exist. They're soulless. They want your soul. That's basically what it is.
They want to make the money. They want to utilize your thoughts to get that cash flow.
That scene, like, that scene, that scene, the Mortal Kombat scene. I want your soul. Your soul is mine. That's what they are. That's what they are. So stay true to yourself.
Soul suckers, man. That's for real.
So here's the thing: if you stay true to yourself, worst case scenario, you're happy with what you're putting out in the world. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, at some moment, it's your time to shine, and you grab that moment. I think that's my closing words.
Awesome. Cookie, what's your thoughts on that closing statement? Your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. Now you're looking like me.
Sorry, I'll be even quicker. I just want to say real quick, I really appreciated your take on this, Hef. That is quite a thing. Hey, look at it for the art, how it was made. And so, don't judge it because there was AI involved. Your take was very poignant. And also where you're coming from, Sasan, as far as are we making art to make a living, or are we making art to express ourselves? And I would just like to sum it all together by saying, I want to get rich, not from my art, but I want to be rich. I want to have lots of money. I don't expect or want to do it with my art. I want to express myself, and I want to change the world with my art. I want to create Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life, Sly and the Family Stone, there's a riot going on. That's what I'm trying to do with art. And robots, I like to close it out by saying robots and AI are my bitch. Thank you.
True to that. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much. Sasan Seyedi, thank you very much for taking the time to hang out with us. Greatly appreciate you being here with us. It's good to chat with you as well on your projects, on Warps, and also on Rift Radio. And the growth of what you're doing. Want to wish you the best and the most success that you can possibly get out of what you're doing, and continue to build. Don't stop for anybody. You already know that you already have that mantra in you anyway. So just keep it moving always, as I always say, and as our show is presented by. Thank you everybody for listening. Everybody out there.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah. Thank you everybody that's been listening on YouTube, on Abstract Stream, on X. We appreciate your support. You guys all know who you are. I don't have to mention names, but everybody that's out there, we love you. Thank you. Next week, we'll have Betty on our show. We had to rebook her, Betty from Dead Fellas, and the founder and co-founder will be here with us next week. So we'll see you then. This has been another episode of Jus Riffin. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.